Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Number one is the most difficult question, but it may be the easiest. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Louise. My friends call me Lolo, which is the English version of the name. You say Lolo in Swedish. I'm 30 years old and I'm from Sweden.
Where do you live?
I live in the southern part of Sweden, in a city called Kristianstad. I live just next to a mall, and I live there with my cousin.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a front desk manager at a hotel in Kristianstad. It's called Hotel Doxiana, but we'll probably change our name very soon.
And what is the happiest memory of your life?
Oh, that's the hard one. I always remember when I was very, very young, my first vacation with my grandmother and my cousin. I remember in middle school, we had to write about our earliest memory. And that's actually my earliest memory. And we went, it was like my first time actually having a vacation because my mom has raised me by herself and she has not had a lot of money. But my grandmother decided to take me and my cousin on vacations starting from when I was 6 years old. And we went to Astrid Lindgren's Värld. And Astrid Lindgren is a writer, a Swedish writer. And they made like an entertainment park with all of her stories. So we went there and we just experienced all of her stories in real life, and I thought that was amazing.
And what is the saddest memory of your life?
I think, oh gosh, I haven't thought about this in a long time. A few years ago, my mom tried to kill herself. And I think that was the hardest part. I'm very lucky that she's still here. Ooh.
Yeah, we need some. Oh, I have some.
Ooh. I didn't know that it still affected me.
It's boring us. It's not going away, so we have to find a way to deal with it. But most important thing is she's here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. When you're young, what did you think of your therapy?
Yeah, I think like my mom is very carefree and she does not care what other people think of her. And I think I've adapted that a lot. So I've always been very happy and like not a lot of things affect me, except maybe my mom then. But I've always, like, I don't stress a lot because that's just a waste of energy. And I don't dislike people because that's also a waste of energy. So I think I've always looked at myself with a smile. Yeah.
All right. Has there been a time that you were angry at yourself, and why, and how did you overcome that?
Probably, like, since a few years ago, my then boyfriend cheated on me, and I had like a really emotional breakdown. And after that, I've been a lot easier to have breakdowns. I've never had that before, and I always seen myself as a very strong person, and it really annoys me that I can't go through certain things and that I get anxiety attacks, and that I know it's not my fault, but it still makes me angry because it like stops me from doing certain things in my life.
Do you remember what were your dreams when you were young?
I remember when I was around 15, I wanted to build an orphanage. I don't know why, but I wanted to do it in China. And also I wanted it to be like this really fancy one that had all the toys, all the games and everything, because I just, I don't know if maybe we talked about orphans or something. We don't really have like orphanages really in Sweden. But I just wanted to make like life better for people, like children that are less fortunate.
Okay, so now we are moving on to the big questions. How did you get to know BTS?
Well, this I'm trying to make it short. I used to listen to a lot of Korean music when I was younger, but then it was like very time consuming back then. But then as I got older, I didn't have time for it anymore. But then when I split up with my old boyfriend, I suddenly got a lot more time on my hands, and I was like, okay, but what does it offer now? Like, what Korean music is there now? And it was just so different from when I was used to listen, because we had like forums and everything, and that did not exist anymore. So I didn't really know where to start. But then I found a friend that also was watching K-dramas. And she said, "Oh, but I listen to Korean music. I can show you some." And the first music video she showed me was Blood, Sweat, and Tears, which back then I was like, I don't really like this, which is insane to me now. And then she showed me some others, and I started to like listen to a few artists. But then on YouTube, it just came on because I had YouTube in the background, and then I Need You was playing, and I was like, oh, this is a great song. And then I was like, oh, I recognize this name. Didn't I not like their songs? So I started to like look for more music, and it's like, okay, I really like this, and that's just how I started my journey.
Wow. So you started with I Need You, Girl.
Yeah, that was the one that hooked me.
Okay, that's the first song they had it charting #1 in Korean music chart, and that kind of gave them a strength to go on. So it's an amazing song, and that brought you into the world of BTS. That's good. Yeah. Being a fan is also different from being an ARMY. So I'm wondering whether do you remember there's a specific moment. Yes, I'm an ARMY.
I remember I wasn't an ARMY around the end of the year shows, but I know it was before You Never Walk Alone. So I just don't really remember exactly what happened in between, but I just think I started like searching for more videos to see how they were as people, and that's like how I was starting to get really hooked. And then I don't think I entered like the fandom until around the BBMAs the first time, because I was voting so much on Twitter, and that's when I started to get like other friends, and I think that's probably like what I knew I was in this for life.
Has BTS changed your life?
I didn't think so in the beginning, because I know like a lot of people have like these amazing stories, and that BTS came into my life when I most needed them. I don't think I realized until like maybe a year later how dark my life was. Like I just started to wear a lot of dark clothes, which is not my thing. I usually wear a lot of colors, but I started to wear a lot of dark clothes back then. And I didn't really hang out with my friends anymore. But then when I started to get into BTS, my cousin also, like, I didn't introduce BTS to her. She had actually found BTS on her own, and then we just realized that we both were starting to get really into BTS. And then we started hanging out a lot more. And we had we were really close when we were young, but we had kind of disconnected. And this BTS like brought us back together, which is such a blessing for me. And I started to wear like my normal clothes again. And I think I realized this because I think it was Namjoon that said that when he had like a darker period in his time, he also wore darker clothes. And I was like, yeah, that was probably me. So I kind of like realized afterwards that, yeah, I became a lot happier when I got this new family of friends and I got to reconnect with my cousin.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get into Waning and ARMY?
That was a real coincidence. There was this girl, Anna, who wrote a tweet that back then would consider viral, but now it was probably just a small tweet. And she was saying that we should, because we started to notice that we starting to get like a social power, and she said we should use this to help people, like, because she had heard a lot about Syria back then in her country. And she was like, can we do something maybe like in violence, which, because this was just after the Love Yourself campaign started, or can we like do something for Syrian people, because we're so many, if we just do a little, maybe we can do some difference. And I just replied to the tweet to say, you should contact this fan base, because it was like a collective of fan bases from different countries. And then because I answered, they, while I was sleeping, made a group chat and started talking about how should we can do this into like not just a one-time thing, we can do this into something continuous, and we should have this kind of concept and everything. And so when I woke up, the concept was kind of already created, and they had just created a Discord. And I wasn't even gonna join, but then I was curious, and then I went in there, and I was practically like one of the first ones that went in there. And then people started talking, and I'm like sharing articles, and I just thought everything was so disorganized, and I hate disorganization. So I started to organize everything. It's like, oh, we should have a drive, we should have an email. I'll start doing all that, and then I never left.
So who came up with the name?
That was Erica. I've heard afterwards, because the name was like casually mentioned in the group chat while I was asleep, because I didn't read back a lot, and then everyone liked it. So and it was built on the concept that like 1 in a million, like if we all do our fair share, it become a million.
So how many people are in One in an Army, and what are the main activities that you do when you put your time on it? Like what's the thing that you actually do?
We're about, I think, 30 people, and I probably like 22 or around 23 of us are like active pretty much every day. For me, I take care of social media mostly, and also like just organizing everything. And I've let go a lot of the organizing, and we have like certain people that do like just keep us on track. But I help with like links, and I can do the websites and everything if I need to do that. I can help do the forms. But usually nowadays I help with posting, and then I also, because we have like a policy of answering every single tweet that we get. So I do a lot of that.
And the One in an Army actually connects Army directly to the NGOs, right?
Yes.
And how did you really choose those NGOs? Because there had been a lot of talk about how many NGOs are really screwing up the donation thing, and so there had to be some kind of verification process and all that.
We have a research team, as we call them. I am not part of that, but they've either worked with nonprofits before, or they're really good at researching, or they're really knowledgeable about human rights and animal rights. And we always have a theme for each month. So we try to, well, I don't try to, but the research team, they just Google mostly, and like try to like find in different countries, because we try to make it global. And then they check, so the reputation is okay. They check like what they say they're doing, is that actually helping what they want to help. So they're very knowledgeable, and we rely on them a lot. And then like at the end, when they feel like, okay, we have a good amount of different organizations within this thing, then we all just vote on what sounds good to us, because that's the only thing that we can do, because we're not, but they have already done the verification process then. We also do, we also make sure that there's always like tangible services, because that's a lot easier to check if they actually do that. Because if you fund research, it doesn't really, you don't know if the money was well spent until they actually found a cure or whatever it is that they're researching. So we always try to make sure that it's like tangible services, like a shelter, because then you can see that people are at the shelter and actually getting help.
So you actually see the outcomes, like by portal,
yes.
or the people going there to checking it also. I've seen some people actually
Yeah.
going to those two places also.
Yeah, because since we're all over the world in One in an Army, we rarely get to actually go see the places, but then there are fan bases everywhere, and as long as they're willing, we usually hook them up with the organization, and they're so happy to have them come and see what they actually do, which is, it's been so much fun to see all the pictures and everything, because since we can't go ourselves usually.
That's really cool. Okay. What is your number one BTS song?
Oh.
This is the most difficult question.
I'm gonna answer Magic Shop, because I remember when I first listened to it, I had just been to South Korea, and then I had like been home for a few hours, and then I went to America because I was going to a wedding. So during my jet lag, they released Tear, and I was listening to Magic Shop, and I don't know why, because I hadn't seen the translations or anything yet, but I just started crying like a lot. It felt like a warm hug or something, and I didn't know I needed that back then, but I was having a hard time at school, and I just felt like, yeah, it felt like a warm hug, and I think I needed that, and I just like, because it was not sad tears, it was just like a release. So I think like Magic Shop has like a special place in my heart.
What are your dreams now? Like, what are the things that you want to achieve in your life?
I really want to start working in the not-for-profit sector. I want to, like, I've always wanted to help people. I did start to become a nurse, but I never got to finish because things got too hard. I might actually go back and finish it. I don't know yet. But I do want to, because of all the work I've done with One in an Army, I would really love to be able to do it hands-on. And actually, like, because we just help other people change people's lives. I would like to be one of those who actually like are in the front seat, because that's always been a passion of mine.
Have you been to BTS concert or saw him in person?
Yeah, I went to London and Paris for Love Yourself, and I went to Paris for Speak Yourself.
So when you go there with your cousin or someone?
Yeah. I used to be a part of the Swedish fan base as well. I started that one. And the admin, I had the fan base together with. I went with her to Paris for the Love Yourself, because she got tickets, and I couldn't get tickets. So I asked my cousins, like, is it okay if I go with her? And she was like, okay. But then just a week before the London concert, I managed to get tickets for me and my cousin, so then it was totally fine.
What do you think is the power that connects the army? Like, is it the songs or the personality or what?
I think it's all of it. But in the end, it's probably the message that they put out. Like, because they live by their message. Like they put it in their songs, but they also like show it in their videos and everything else that they do. So I think like in the end, it's the message that we all stand behind, like self-empowerment, self-love, and loving each other. So I think like deep down, it's actually the message in itself, and then that it's just also wrapped in amazing personalities and amazing music, just makes it even better.
Mm-hmm. So this will be the last question. If you meet BTS like you and I like this, so you're other BTS members and you have this private time with them, what would you like to tell them, say to them?
I always said this, like if I ever see them on the street, I would walk the other way.
That's in the street.
Yeah.
You probably not meet them.
I wouldn't like. I know they know how much they affect people, but I would definitely tell them how they've affected me and the people I know, and I would also ask them what kind, because we've always hoped for One in an Army to see like what thing would you like to see us do next, because like they care about so many things. It's really hard to pin it down. And I would probably take the opportunity to see where they wanted us to go, because we want to do it all, and it was just be easier to see if we can, because we try to like take cues from them, but it would be easier if they just told us.